In dry Spain, international corporations are buying up the water rights. Citizens are now fighting back in the Lecrintal in the province of Granada. When Rosa Fernandez leaves the house in the morning, she checks to see if trucks are coming from the factory at the gates of Durcal in Lecrintal at the foot of the Sierra Nevada in southern Spain. Mineral water is bottled in the factory. The facility opened in 2007. After a year, the company ceased operations until it was auctioned off in early summer 2019. After months of preparation, the trucks are now rolling again. It cannot be that an international corporation does business with our resources. There has been a lack of water in our valley for years, complains Fernandez, one of those who founded the Citizens Initiative to defend water in the Lecrin Valley in 2007. The irrigation canals, some of which date back to the time of the Arabs, bring less and less water from the 3,000-meter high mountains into the valley. It's sometimes snowing less and less. The Sierra Nevada is very vulnerable to climate change, explains Fernandez, and more farmers have to resort to groundwater. The business with water is therefore not just any business, complains Fernandez, and the El Padul Lagoon down in the valley has been drying up again and again for years. Agua Deus is the name of the brand that advertises with the slogan "For Sustainable World." The company belongs to the French mineral water group Roxane. Bottles are currently filling up to 31 liters per second. The company relies on an old license from the previous owner, of which it is not clear whether it's still valid, complain the critics of the factory. An expansion of production provides for 45 liters. There is no independent monitoring of the filling quantity, says Fernandez. According to a law from the Franco dictatorship, bottling mineral water is mining and is therefore subject to legislation that facilitates permits. In addition, the conservative right-liberal coalition government of Andalusia, which governs thanks to the parliamentary support of the right-wing extremist Vox, has passed a law to simplify administrative law. This largely deprives the municipalities of their say in industrial settlements and abolishes previously applicable environmental regulations. The neighboring Lanjaron gives its name to one of the most famous mineral water brands in Spain. The company belongs to the international food group Danone. They have gradually bought up water rights here, reports Herbert Troll, a member of the Green Party Equal. The Irrigation Association and Association of Irrigation Farmers have sold part of their rights. Troll, a German who has lived on a small estate outside the village for many years, lost half of what he was allowed to take. At first, the factories wanted to divert water from the upper reaches of the river. Protests and a lawsuit prevented this. Then they drove pipes into the mountain right under a centuries-old chestnut grove, says Troll. The protests have now fallen asleep. The whole town lives directly or indirectly from the factory and the thermal baths, and the foundation finances local festivals and cultural events with money from Danone, explains Troll. In Spain, mineral water consumption has increased massively in the past few decades. The industry now has a turnover of almost 1 billion euros per year. The most recent example of a dispute over a bottling plant is the town of Villanueva del Rosario, near Antequera in the province of Malaga. There, in the middle of the COVID lockdown, the construction of a mineral water factory began in a hurry. Heavy protests led to the construction freeze in the summer. For Antonia Figueroa, Antequera is a good example of what is happening in southern Spain. He says in a region in which the groundwater resources are so heavily exploited that the groundwater table is falling, it is impossible to understand how a mineral water factory can be approved, says the spokesman for the Network for New Hydroponics. First, we take much more water than there is, then we transfer large amounts from reservoirs in other regions, instead of closing illegal wells and modernizing irrigated agriculture, complains the environmentalist. He operates an interactive map on the internet that shows the local conflicts over water in Andalusia. Climate change and the depletion of groundwater are making themselves felt in many regions of Andalusia. If we don't act, we will have more and more disputes about water in the next 10 to 20 years, he predicts. And that topic is not limited to Spain. It will be very interesting to see how this continues. And if you want to stay informed, please subscribe to my channel. Auf Wiedersehen.